the game was different, right? The rules was different. The ball was different.
The Euro style is different in America.
The Euro style was a lot different than America.
That's the first time y'all seen that Euro step too, huh?
Absolutely.
All right, so this evening in the UK and in Atlanta this evening, I am joined by someone that I've known for a very long time. Originally knew me as Calfoot. Later on found out I had an actual name. The prince or the king of UK basketball, Justin Robinson. How you doing, my man?
I'm well, man. I'm well. Can't complain. Just here, enjoying life.
Rehabbing. I hear you. Now, going through, I've got about 12 clubs down here. I've got 8 countries, college career, UK career. Can you take us through a little walk about your journey, man? Take us through it.
Originally from Brixton, South London. Growing up there, my whole life. Got into basketball maybe about 7 or 8 years old. My older brother bought me. No, I had short hair back then.
Oh,
I had
really?
short hair back then. Yeah. My older brother bought me like a poster, random Michael Jordan poster, and kind of started bouncing the ball, around my estate with my friends. And it kind of got to the point where I was, annoying my mum, annoying the neighbors. So my mum called my dad. She was like, "Listen, you've got to take this child somewhere because too much energy, testosterone, So he took me down to Brixton Rec. I'll never forget it. It was on a Wednesday evening, and it might have been a Friday. And I remember walking in, and it was just like organized chaos, pretty much. Had 2 courts, men, women, kids that could barely walk. On 19, it was just everyone. Everyone was just there. Everyone knew their place. Everyone knew how to conduct themselves. And then you just had Jimmy's voice, just echoing and just controlling the whole scene, like we walked over there. My dad spoke to him. I just remember the whole time having my head down, kind of like intimidated by the voice.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gave us the upcoming dates, like a Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Took me back next week, and then I just kind of became a part of that culture, that family, that community, and it just took off from there. I just made my way up the ranks, playing cadets, under 16s, under 18s. Started playing for the men at like 13, 14. I just put my head down and worked, man. And I saw a lot of the older guys going to the States, Laken, Demola, Flo, Aju, wow, you name it, the Marcuses, Marvins, all these guys that I looked up to, Sean Grays, these guys kind of just guided me and mentored me and gave me that tough love. And I just put my head down and just kind of chased that dream of going to America. And fortunately, when I was 16, I got the chance, and I was given a scholarship.
Okay, so when did you know you wanted to play college ball? From just, from going there as a young kid with your head down, and through that process, when did you ever see yourself saying, "Hey, I can be like a Flo or Lual," or when did that come about?
I think probably when I was about 11, because it was different back then, because Brixton was much more of a tighter knit team or organization. The older guys always kind of interacted with the younger kids. So you might find me, Matthew, Keon, or kind of people in our age group. We're playing one-on-one with some of the older lot, and they always kind of sit us down and tell us little stories about their travels. And every year we'd see guys leave and come back for the summer, So I was always intrigued by that, you know. I used to see guys leave and come back. I'm like, bro, you know, where you been? Oh, you know, I'm in high school here or prep school here. And, you know, it kind of just made my curiosity grow and grow. And then I think early on, Jimmy, he used to give me the tapes, the NCAA tapes. So, you know, I'm watching all the Dukes and the Carolinas, Texas, all these big schools, and just thinking like, wow, you know, like one day I want to play NCAA ball, you know. So yeah, man, it was just that dream was just installed, and it was kind of part of the culture back then, you know, like, you know, when you hit 16, hit 18, your dream or your aspiration is to go to the States, you know. So from like 10, 11, I was just like, I gotta go, you know. People tell me I'm too small, you know, I'm not gonna grow. I mean, you remember me back in the day, I was tiny, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, I just kind of always believed in myself, and just, like I said, put my head down and just kind of persevered towards that goal.
That's crazy, man. You know, you saying like you're making us age with the same birth year, so you're making us age, and you're saying you used to watch NCAA tapes on VHS, on tape.
Yeah.
Like that's
that's me.
I'm sure if I pulled out a VHS now, a lot of the viewers will be like, "What is that?"
It's mad blurry, but
crazy. You know what I mean? You don't even know who's playing. What steps did you take to play college ball? Like what, you know, from your recruiting to your, you know, getting your own tape as such out there? You know, what did you do?
You mean going to high school or going to college?
Going to high school, like getting to the States. What steps did you take?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna give you a funny story. So my journey was a bit more unorthodox, yeah. So there was a guy called Clyde Vaughan, and he was a scout for UConn at the time. And he was coming over to try and find some British kids. I believe he played played in the BBL back in the day, you know, so he was familiar with the UK. So he came over, and I think he had his eye on Matthew, you know, so he's come over and he's watching Matthew. But before the scrimmage, Jimmy has spoken to him. He's like, oh, you know, you got to keep your eye on this kid, Justin. You know, he's the best guard in the country, blah, 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 blah. So we've had the scrimmage, you know, Matthew's mum's there. I think his dad was there. His brother's there. And they've come down to speak to Clyde Vaughan, because, you know, he's been in communication with the family. So after the scrimmage, you know, they've gone to the back room, you know, at the rec, you know, the little room where you can put on the car. Yeah, so they're meeting there now. I think it was there. They're meeting there, and Jimmy literally pulled me by my wrist and just bum rushed into their meeting, like just walked in. And it was super awkward there. Because he just kind of like starts pleading my case, like, oh, you know, yeah, got this kid Justin, I need a school for Justin now, and he needs a school, and blah, 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 blah. So the plan was to try and get me into Matthew's school. He was going to South Kent in Connecticut. But I think there was no many space, there weren't any more spaces. So he had a school called Notre Dame Academy at the time, which was in Virginia. And yeah, you know, Jimmy kind of put the pressure on him, you know. And yeah, man, he gave me a scholarship. And yeah, that was my first school.
Okay. And then talk about the journey, because you left there and ended up going to Blair. So what was the transition there?
Well, you know, that was a bit of a nightmare experience, you know. I think we need a whole nother episode for that, you know.
I remember the story from lockdown.
So yeah, that was a bit of a bad experience, you know, like my first time in America, being 16, 17, you know, I'm by myself, and it was just a nightmare, you know, complete nightmare. It weren't what I thought America should be or what it was going to be. And then luckily, Matthew's coach, he had found out from Matthew that I had left Virginia. So I'd come back during Christmas. So I was literally home, no school. And Matthew spoke to his coach. Coach was like, you know, we'll take him, you know, pretty much off like word of mouth. He hadn't seen me play, he hadn't seen any highlight tapes. So me going to South Kent from January until June, the coach didn't know what to expect. He didn't know if I was good, if I was whack, or, you know what I'm saying? So when I got there, I shocked him. You know, I don't think he knew how athletic I would be or how explosive or crafty. But then, in the summer after South Kent, me and Luau are working out, and Luau's like, you know, are you interested in Blair? Because originally, I was supposed to go to Blair, but Luau had hollered at me.
Before Matt?
West Virginia. No. So before West Virginia.
Okay, yeah.
No. So I'll tell you how it went. So when I got, like, Luau kind of like spoke to me about it briefly, but when I got the scholarship from West Virginia, Luau had hollered at me. But I'm like, oh, no, I'm cool. I've got a scholarship already. So, all right, cool. So now, that summer, we're working out, he's like, oh, are you still interested in the Blair Academy? So I'm like, yeah, like, of course, you know. So, Luau, and I weren't really, like, South Kent was cool, but, you know, it was just like, I just didn't feel like it was a fit for me, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I just didn't feel like, you know, I didn't feel like the coaches maybe saw that potential in me or saw how good I could be, you know. So Luau approaching me about Blair was like, oh wow, you know, it's perfect. So yeah, he's contacted Coach Mantegna. Mantegna's contacted the principal, and they got it done in like a space of a few days, man. And then yeah, I was at Blair for like the next 2 years, and we had a good, you know, we won the Maple League, I think my first year, and then we were back-to-back runners-up in the state finals in New Jersey. You know, I made like all first team Pro, all first team Maple. No, I think my senior year we was ranked like 19th in the country. So yeah, man, Blair was a special place, and you know, Coach Mantegna, he knows how special he is to me. You know what I mean? And I made some lifelong friends at that place, so it's definitely a special place, man.
I love it, man. I love to see that. I love to hear it. You know, I think that's a part of the journey of when you go into these places, you know, especially being an international, going to these places, of building lifelong relationships and experiences. Do you know what I mean? If you stay at home, you don't really get a chance to take the fullness in, but you know, when you leave and you go and you explore, you get a whole new perspective of life and how to do things. So that's great. What would you talk to us about you going to Ryder now?
Oh yeah, so so going to Ryder was so you know, you have the whole recruiting process, you know, senior year. I had a good senior year. I had an okay junior year, but I had a better senior year, you know. A lot of schools were on my case, you know, schools all over the country, more so mid-major schools, you know. I had a few big schools that were after me, but, you know, they were saying, oh, you know, you probably have to redshirt, or, you know, you won't start your first 2 years, or, you know. And I mean, you know me well, I'm not really someone that kind of gets caught up in the sauce, you know. I'm not someone that you can come to and gas my head up and sell me a dream, you know. I'm just not built like that. So I had a bunch of schools, you know. I probably had about over 100 D1 offers, you know, from all over the country, you know, in all different kind of states. But then my visits were narrowed down to St. Louis, UMass, and Ryder. So I took all 3 visits. I went to UMass. I think it was Coach Ford, little short white guy that went to Kentucky. I'm not sure where he's coaching now. I think he might have coached at Kentucky at some moment in time. But he was at UMass at the time. He was like, yeah, you know, we like you. You know, we want to offer you a scholarship, but, you know, I'm going to keep it real. You know, you're not going to start your first year. So I was like, I was like, all right, cool. So then went to St. Louis and, you know, had a great visit. You know, they treated me like a king, you know, chaperone you everywhere, take you out, take you to 5-star restaurants and all this stuff. And, you know, facilities were amazing, you know, so that was like, okay, cool. You know, this could be a potential team, and they were on me, you know, like they were ringing my coach every day, you know, asking me, you know, oh, when's he gonna sign? We want him, blah blah blah. But then Ryder were also on my case. You know, Ryder is a smaller school compared to, you know, those two schools in the A10. But what Ryder had in his favor was that it was in New Jersey. I had some of my people were in New York, so I could see them, I could stay close to them. And, you know, it was like me coming from a prestigious school like Blair, going to like a mid-major or a low, I guess, yeah, a mid-major / low major Division 1. It was like me being a big fish going into a small pond. And, you know, they were like, as soon as you come here, you know, you're going to start, we're going to give you the keys and, you know, and it was also about staying close to my coach, you know. You know, we were, you know, even to this day, we're still close. So I just felt like it was a good chance to keep that connection strong. You know, I can go down to Blair, him and his family can come and see me. So yeah, in the end, I just chose Ryder, and I waited till the last signing period. And I'm glad that I did, because the team in St. Louis, I think a day before the last signing period, the whole coaching staff got sacked. So they wiped out the whole coaching staff. So if I would have signed, I would have literally had been recruited by someone that just got sacked, and a new coach would have came on board, and he wouldn't have. I would have probably got recruited over, and it would have just caused a whole heap of problems, you know. So I'm glad that I waited, and you know, these schools try and use scare tactics and say, oh, you know, if you don't sign, someone else will. And in my head, I'm like, okay, if someone else signed, they signed. I don't care. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, I'm happy with my decision, and it paid off. You know, I mean, I had a great career. You know, broke some records, and then, you know, in top 10 scoring or whatever. And we had a good career at Ryder, you know. So yeah, man.
I love that. I love the fact that, you know, and a couple of things. So season 3 we had a young man who went to Montana State, and he had the same issue, that he got recruited by a coach, and the coach left, and then the new coach coming in kind of didn't have you know, the old coach wanted a 7-foot traditional big, and then the new guy comes in and he's like, yeah, you know, we don't really use traditional bigs, and then he had to find another spot. And so, you know, that's always a cautionary tale to guys and girls who are signing, like understanding, or, you know, trying to ascertain if the coaching staff is gonna be there, because, you know, that's a horrible place to be in. That, okay, now I've signed, and, you know, now I move on. So that's rough. And then, you know, understanding your own value, and I hate that term. I know it's like pretty popular now, like know your worth, king, know your, like, but like understanding your lane in terms of, hey, I want to play minutes, like I want to go out and do, like, understanding that, rather than, hey, I want to go play with Duke, and then you're number 12 on the bench, and then you're there making everybody's life miserable because you're not playing, or do you know what I mean? So it's a fine balance, because obviously you want to be pushed competitively, and you want to be able to get better with, you know, the team that you have, but at the same time being realistic and saying, hey, look, I want to enjoy my college experience. I want to go and play minutes and be the man, and, you know.
Yep.
So I think that, you know, having that that decision-making process is great. Which, cool. Next question is, looking back at it now, what would you do differently when choosing a college, or would you do anything differently?
It's tough, you know, because you know, there's times where you think, like, what if, you know? So, you know, sometimes in my mind, I think to myself, oh, you know, what if I did go to a bigger school, and, you know, I was able to play myself into a major player on the team, you know? Who knows, maybe I would have had a better chance of NBA, you know, that's every person's dream, you know, or even just getting more exposure, you know, to to European clubs or the Asian market. So, you know, at times, you know, you think to yourself, you know, maybe did I sell myself short? But like you just said, at the same time, you got to be realistic, you know. And that's not me not believing in myself, because I believe in myself. But at the same time, is you got to put yourself in the best position and situation to be successful. You know what I mean? You kind of got to play your cards right and think strategically and not just get caught up in the hype, you know. Because, you know, I would say it. I've been one of them kids, you know, when you get that letter from Duke or Villanova or whoever in the post, you're like, oh, you're getting gassed, you know. But then you realize, or, you know, one of your teammates, you know, they come along and they burst your bubble and like, yo, listen, man, they send thousands of these the kids across the country. Unless it's a handwritten one from the coach, signed, it don't mean nothing, you know. So, you know, I was just fortunate enough to have people around me to keep me grounded and always kind of just keep it real with me, you know what I mean? And, you know, I feel like having someone like Coach Mantegna in my corner during that process, you know, he, in a way, protected me, you know, like he didn't let coaches harass me or call me or, you know what I'm saying? Like he always kind of kept it real with me and just kind of gave me little gems to navigate that process. So I don't think I would do anything differently. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I'll do anything differently. I think maybe I would have, maybe I don't know, maybe I would have visited some different schools, you know, like further away, you know, maybe like somewhere in San Francisco or New Orleans or, you know, like I had all these kind of colleges, you know. Just to kind of get, you know, like a broader perspective on the States, you know, instead of just kind of staying on the East Coast. So
that was, I can't remember, there was an NBA player that said, like, he had his mind made up. I can't remember, but he wanted to be wined and dined. I can't remember who it was. And it was just so hilarious that, like, this grown man with all this money wants to be wined and dined by all these teams. I can't remember. It's hilarious. If I remember, I'll tell you. But that is hilarious. And I guess he was in the States for like 2 years before, but was there a big difference acclimating yourself to college basketball versus basketball in England, you know, as a cadet kind of thing?
It's a good question. I think each level you go up, there's going to be that adjustment stage, you know. There's going to be those growing pains where you take those licks and you have to learn the game, you know. Like, coming from the UK, going to high school, you know, it was an adjustment. The speed, how physical they are, you know, players up in you. Whereas in the UK, you know, players are kind of, you know, players kind of survive off of their rep a lot in the UK, you know. If a player's got a name or, you know, he's got a reputation of being a big scorer or what, this or that, he can kind of just install like fear, you know, into players. Where in America, no one cares who you are. They don't care
what you've done.
Even the better player you are, the more target you have. So players are going to come at you even more, you know. So that's kind of like the mentality that Americans have. I think going from high school to college, I don't think it was that big of an adjustment. Again, you know, it's a bit more physical. You know, guys are stronger. You know, you're like 18, 19 coming to college, and there's a 21-year-old, 22-year-old that's been in the weight room 2-3 years. You know, he's experienced, he's savvy, he knows the refs, he knows, you know what I'm saying? So you always gonna have that maybe first maybe 10 games where you're adjusting, you're learning the rules of college basketball, you're learning what you can get away with, what you can't, the nuances. But I don't think it was that big of an adjustment. I feel like I kind of, you know, adjusted quite quickly. I think being at Blair in that program where, you know, they're prepping you for college, literally they're prepping you, you know, the workouts, the lifting, the scrimmages, everything is prepping you for college. You know, the way you're coached, you know, like going to Ryder, it was like a cakewalk compared to being coached by Coach Mantegna and how much he demands from you, you know what I mean? And the standard he holds you to. So going to Ryder was like, no, you know, this is easy.
Okay. Looking back at it at that period as well, I know we had a few guys. You spoke about quite a few guys going and playing college ball, but there wasn't this international renaissance that there is now. You know what I mean? Like with, you know, so many international guys playing at a high level and everyone, I guess, starting to respect the international game. Was there a stigma being a European player playing in, you know, college in America? Was there any stigmas that you had to face? Like, oh, yeah, he's soft, he's from England, nah, he's not that good, whatever.
In high school, no, because, you know, I was going to, actually, to be honest, I think at South Kent, you know, they tried me and Matt a little, you know, a few times, you know, they'll say little comments, but for the most part, like at Blair, you know, they kind of had British players on a pedestal because of Luau, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, you know, everyone knowing that you're associated with Luau, you're coming from the Brixton Top Cats, it's like, oh wow, you know. So they immediately, as soon as you step on campus, you're up here, you know. College, it's a tough one because me going to Ryder for them was like a steal, you know. In a way, they kind of like, they were like, oh yeah, you know what, like in their mind, they were kind of fortunate to have me. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
you know, not in a cocky way. You know, that's just what they were, that's just the way they were acting, you know. So I think the way they kind of built me up to players that were there or players that were incoming with me was like, oh, you know, we got this guard from London, from Blair Academy, you know, he's this, he's that. So I kind of went in there with a level of respect already. But I do think, you know, they might not say it, you know, the Americans, but they do, you know, they might go a little bit harder because you're from UK, or, you know, because you're taking their spot, or, you know, because you're playing more than them. But no one's ever come out and said it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, there's something underlying there, you know what I mean? There's something underlying there, but I mean, I had some cool teammates, man. I'm fortunate to have some real teammates, you know, that kind of just, you know, they rocked with me, you know, on the court, off the court, you know, we was all one, you know. So, yeah, I didn't really have too many problems like that.
Okay. You didn't get a lot of pip cheerio, old mate, none of that? Nah. I mean, you know, it is in life, man. People are able to see who's genuine, who's real, you know what I mean? Like, your energy, you know, you come into a place and you're trying to be like them and you're twanging and you're chatting, like, people see through that stuff, you know, whereas me, I'm just Brixton through and through. I come in, you accept me the way I am. If you don't, oh well, you know, that's on you. So, you know, I came into the program and they just accepted me, you know. They might make little jokes here and there, but I make jokes on them as well. So, you know, so yeah, man, it was cool. It's all banter, you know, like that's how I've grown up. You know, me and my friends cussing each other, you know, I can take it, I can give it too. So yeah, man, it's all good. I gotcha. What was the best part of playing in the States? The best part.
It's a good question. It's a good question. You know, it sounds simple, but I've never been asked this before. I think the best part is, for me, and I'm sure it's the same for a lot of UK ballers. You know, I remember being that child watching those tapes at Kentucky, at here, at, you know, at all these big schools, and then, you know, when you finally get a chance to play at, you know, Rap Arena, or, you know, who else? I don't know. I can't even think of, you know, Mississippi State. I'm trying to think of some of the big schools we played, or USC, or, you know, like you get to play at some of these arenas with 20,000 people, and, or, you know, you're flying here for, you know, the Cancun shootout, or, yeah, it just kind of, your dreams kind of come reality, you know, and you remember why you're doing it, you know, and what you're chasing, and, you know, what makes you happy. And like I said, you know, I used to watch the Final Four, watch NCAA games, and you say, yeah, you know, one day I'm gonna be there, you know. And for me, at the time, I probably didn't realize it, but now looking back on it, you know, I really appreciate getting those opportunities to travel around the country and play some of the great teams that had great tradition and coaches, and against some great players as well, you know. So yeah, I think for me it was more so like going on the road and playing in some of these hostile environments and big teams. Like I remember we played my junior year. This was a non-conference games, and we went down to Mississippi. We had to fly to Memphis and then drive from Memphis to Sparksville, a little Mississippi town. You know, you already know what time it is. You know, and we go down there and we're warming up, and Mississippi State down the other end, these guys are walking through the warm up. You know, we already know that they're thinking, "Oh, we're gonna smack these guys." That's what they're thinking in their head, just by their body language. Their coach is not even drawing nothing up in the timeout. You know, everyone just lackadaisical. We came out from start to end just on smoke, like, and the arena was packed, and it was just silence the whole game. Like their fans just gave up on them. It was crazy. And at the time they were like, I think they were like 17th in the country. At the time, I think they had like 3 NBA prospects, guys that were about to get drafted first round. Yeah, like we went in there on, you know, they weren't really used to that East Coast style, you know. I mean, yeah, we just them and just hammered them, man. Hammered them.
Jeez. Okay, I like that. And then how did you find, especially, and this leads great into this question, but how did you find the fans? I know, you know, playing in England, you know, you're lucky if you get like 300 fans and 400, like, great, you know what I mean? You have a BBL final, you might get maybe 2,000 people, but like, when you go in,
no, you get more than that.
Of recent times, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, like, so now you're in...
I'll give you an example. In the cup final in Birmingham, this was 2018, there was about 10,000 people there.
Slow down.
Yeah. About 10,000 people. Yeah, but go on, sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm trying to think, where was I in 18? Actually, I was in Oklahoma at the time, so missed out on that.
Out the loop, man, out the loop.
I know, I'm missing out. I'm out. What was I going to say? So how did you find dealing with the hostile environment, especially at that age where you got the fans, and, you know, was it overwhelming? Did you relish it? Like, what was it like?
I'm gonna give you a funny story. Yeah. For the most part, you know, as a baller, I think the only place, well, there's 2 places that I played that I was like, wow, because for the most part, you know, yeah, you know, you're aware of the crowd and, you know, the noise and how packed it is or whatever, you know, cheerleaders or pep rally, whatever they got. You're always conscious of it, but once the game starts, you're locked in, you know. But I remember playing at Kentucky, and there were so many people, you could not hear the ball bounce. Like, when you called the play, you couldn't even hear yourself. Like, it was crazy. But I'm gonna give you a joke here, yeah? So we was playing, this is my junior year, and we was playing Hofstra. It was in a like a bracket buster. Okay. You know, when you play like teams cross conference that have like a similar record, or is it RPI they call it? Is it RPI? Kind of like a similar. RPI, what do they call it? Like teams that are like, you know, they're similar conference, similar strength.
I can't remember, but yeah, I know it's the
yeah. So they were calling out, you know, they were doing the intros, yeah. So they did, for some reason they did Hofstra first. So they're doing us now, yeah. So they were like introducing guys, you know, they'll say, you know, I had like guys like Ryan Thompson, they'll boo, Michael Ringold, blah, blah, blah. So they get to my name, yeah, Blood. The whole stadium, you know what they said?
What?
Go home. The whole, imagine like 9,000 people shouting, fam. Imagine a packed arena, yeah, shouting, go home, fam. My teammates were in tears, fam. Everyone was cracking up, fam. I felt this small, blood, fam. And I don't think I've ever felt Fam, I had a few boys, yeah, like a few of my close friends that were living in Queens, yeah, from London. They came to watch me play, yeah. It was so bad. But these men put their head down like this. They were like, yo, like, fam, I felt this more. I'm like, oh my, I was crushed. This is before the game, you know. Yeah, bro, it was like, wow. I think those two environments were the only environments where I was just like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, I was taken aback a bit, like, oh, damn, like, you know, it's kind of crazy. But after a while, you know, you just kind of get on with it, you know? Like, at the end of the day, you know, you're there to do a job, you're there to win. So, you know what I mean? You can't really do too much about it.
That is hilarious. Go home, you know. And just out of curiosity, did you have a good game or a bad game?
I had a good game, actually. I had a good game. I think I had like, I think we lost in double overtime. Yeah. I think I had about like 17-6. No, we lost in overtime. I think I had like 17-6, I think. Who they have? They had an NBA guy on their team, forget his name. But yeah, they had a good game.
Oh, okay. All right, not bad. All right, so I'm trying to think. Let's keep it flowing. I don't want to jump in with the trivial stuff. Let's keep it flowing. Right, so you graduate and now you're ready to start your pro career. Now, your first stop is playing in Greece. How do you get from New Jersey at Ryder to Greece?
Well, originally, you know, I think my coach said I was supposed to work out for the Pacers or something like that. I don't know if he was gassing my head up or whatever. But he said, oh yeah, you know, I'm trying to get you to work out for the Pacers. And then they had the Portsmouth Invitational and I didn't get invited, which I was a bit confused about. Because I was definitely in terms of like mid-majors, there weren't many other guys that had better stats than me, you know. But you know how it goes in this game. Sometimes it's who you know, it's not how good you are. But during my senior year, you know, you have agents contacting you, you know, trying to court you, you know, European agents might fly out to Europe, take you out in Manhattan on time, you know, all this kind of stuff. So, or, you know, a few American agents will fly you out, you know, they show you around the city and, you know, they're trying to sway you to sign to their agencies, isn't it? So, you know, me, I picked the agency. I'm not going to say who it is. And yeah, you know, he was finding potential teams, you know, had a few offers like Ukraine, where else did I have an offer? A few places, you know, but obviously, you know, it's not always about signing right away. You know, you want to see what's out there, you want to see what teams are offering. So I signed with a team called Marousi. You know, they're like a historical team in Athens. Most of the time a good team, but I just happened to get there when the financial situation was a bit crazy. So, you know, I've got there and I had another American on my team at the time. His name was Ralph Mims, and he went to Florida State, and he was like an angel. Like this guy, he was only there for like a month or two. No, he might have been there for a month, but he taught me so much of the game in that short little time. Like it was almost like I was like a 10-year pro. The amount of gems he was feeding me on what to look out for, don't tolerate this. When someone tells you, know what I'm saying? Like he was just feeding me the game, like proper, man. And proper looked out for me, you know. My first year, didn't have no money. So, you know, the team weren't paying us. Kept saying, oh, you know, the sponsors are coming in, don't worry, you know, the funding's coming in, cool, be patient. So I'm like speaking with my agent, like, yo, man, you know, what's going on? But, you know. So anyway, now I had other teams hitting me up. Like, oh, you know, what's the situation in Greece, you know, blah, blah, blah. So one of the teams that had wanted me before, which was in Cyprus, was called Apollon. And they were hunting me down like, yo, you know, just leave, you know, they've breached your contract. Don't worry, you know, we'll fly you out. You know, we take care of everything. So after a while, I just got sick and tired of it. I told my agents, I'm out, you know. My agent was advising against it. I said, nah, I'm out, man. So I just bounced. I went to Cyprus. I got there, and yeah, man, everything was good. First day, got my check, got my apartment, got this, got that. Smooth sailing, you know. Ended up joining a team that was pretty good. You know, we finished second that year in the league. I had a really good year, you know, for my first year. Yeah, man, it worked out, man. It worked out, you know. Again, I'm someone that if the vibe ain't there, I have to, you know, remove myself, and the vibe just weren't there. You know, I knew the money weren't gonna come because 6 months down the line, the guys still hadn't been paid. You know what I mean? So if I would have stayed there, it would have been my first year out of college, not getting paid. I would have been there, just, you know, struggling. So yeah, man, I had to bounce.
So then you go to Cyprus, Ukraine, Sweden, Hungary, Greece again. Like, talk to me about those stops in terms of, you know, your playing experience, and I guess the overall thing is, when you was at Ryder and you was, you know, playing and competing, how did that prep you for this new start of your career, this new chapter?
You know what? I don't think the college experience can prep you for pro life. You know, it's so different. I mean, it's similar in some ways, you know, at the end of the day, it's basketball. But, you know, when you get to the pro level, you know, you're literally playing against grown men. You know, some of these guys have been playing 10 years, 15 years. Some of these guys are former NBA, former EuroLeague. So it's definitely a step up, you know, not only in skill, but IQ, you know. Guys are so savvy, they're so smart. But I think each step of the way, you know, I kind of evolved and took a piece from each country, you know. Like Cyprus, I had a Latvian coach, and he gave me full reign, you know, gave me the keys to the team my first year. Had guys that believed in me, you know. I had some high-level guys that for some reason, they believed in me. You know, a guy fresh out of college, you know, they were up to me on the court, off the court. Ukraine was a tough one because, you know, Ukraine, I had an Italian coach. Shout out my guys, Anthony Goods and Jared Jones, you know. These guys know exactly what I went through, you know, what we went through, you know. This coach was an Italian coach, and this guy gave us hell, man. This guy gave us hell. And it was there that I learned that, you know, you're gonna come across some crazy guys, you know. You're gonna come across coaches that maybe their style doesn't fit with your style, or, you know, maybe they want this, but you're not used to doing that, or you have to just kind of adapt to any situation, you know. He was very like volatile, and it just over the top, you know what I mean? But it was a learning experience because it showed me, you know, that I had to bite my tongue sometimes. I had to just kind of put my head down and listen to what he's saying, even if I don't agree with it, you know. And at the same time, it showed me that I can't be scared to play and make mistakes, because, you know, there was times where, you know, I'd make mistakes, it would pull me out and shout, and but after a while, I'd say, you know what, I'm just gonna play, man. I can't play looking over my shoulder, you know what I mean? So I got to the point where I'm just like, I'm playing, I'm balling, I'm shooting when I feel like it. If I feel it's a good shot, I'm taking it. I'm making my decisions. And I started playing a lot better. And then I feel like after that, it was a bit more smooth sailing. You know, I went to Sweden for the playoffs. You know, that was just like pretty much at the end of the season. You know, the teams, you know, they bring in reinforcements for the playoffs to help them get over the hump. And after that, I went to Hungary, where I actually played for 2 teams in Hungary. I played for a team called Falco, and again, the coach gave me full reign. He said, "I want you to come in here. I want you to score. I want you to play that how you played in college." You know, and he gave me that confidence to go out there and do it. And then the top team actually in Hungary ended picking me up in the same season, and that happened because my teammate from Ukraine, Jared Jones, he was on the best team called Pax, and he pretty much, the coach asked about me, and he put in a good word pretty much, and yeah, I joined them, and that team was playing Adriatic League, and we ended up losing in the finals to Sonok. Yeah, to Sonok. But again, it was a good year. It worked out well, and then after that, it was Greece. Rhodos, Tricolour, Lefkada, and Greece to me was like, oh yeah, I played in France for a little bit after that as well. But Greece to me was like probably the best time in my pro career, outside the BBO of course, but in my pro career, like Greece was just, it's such a high level. Guys are so smart, and Greece I think was where I grew the most as a player. Just small things like passing angles, playing out the pick and roll, using my body, drawing fouls, clock time management. Like I learned so much from just the Greek style, of being tactical, reading the second line of defense instead of the guy in front of me. Like, it's so many things, man. And just how passionate the Greek people are about basketball. It just gives it that extra oomph, So yeah, man, Greece was definitely the best time in my pro career.
So when you was going to all these places, how did you deal with the language barrier?
To be honest, most teams that you go to, most guys are going to speak like a level or a standard English. You might go somewhere where a guy might speak only broken English, but you find a way to communicate with humans. You vibe with people. You talk, you figure out what they're saying. To sign language. The only place was probably Ukraine. Like I literally had teammates who only spoke Russian. They didn't understand English. They didn't want to interact with you. They didn't rock with you. But everywhere else, Greece was cool. Sweden was cool. Hungary was cool. Yeah, I feel like everywhere else, people spoke a level of English that we got by. And then when you're out on the court, it's just universal basketball stuff. Defense, pass, but time out. Guys understand all that stuff. So it weren't too much of a problem, to be honest.
Okay. What about as you went through this journey and you got all this information and you're looking at it from both sides, from all elements, right? What would you say the best way to prepare for that leap into professional basketball? What's the best? Is there a way that you can prepare for it? Is it just something you gotta go through and say, hey, this is it?
It's a good question. I think it's a bit like work experience, when you go to like a company and they say, oh, you don't have no experience. Well, how are you going to get experience unless you give me an opportunity to gain experience? You just kind of got to jump in the deep end, man. You're going to take your licks. You're going to get, we've all been there. You can ask any player that's started playing pro, we've all had that old guy that we've seen and underestimated, and we're like, oh yeah, I want to finish this guy tonight. And then you start playing and this guy schools you, you're all going to have those, There's going to always be those situations where you have that wake up call or that learning experience. But my thing is just try to be around pros, try to play with pros, play pick up with pros, work out with pros, pick the brains of pros, That's like when I was playing GB and I was in college, I was like picking the brains of all the guys, Flynn the Boys, Nick Georges, Kieran Acharas, Andy Betts, Luau, of course, Pops, I'm asking Jermaine Forbes, I'm asking all these guys about Europe, what I shouldn't do, what I should do, So don't be afraid to ask questions and just make sure that you're fully prepared for what you're going into, because it's a jungle, man. It's a jungle out here, man.
Side question, as you was the one that brought it up. Who was the old guy that you thought you was going to give work to and he ends up schooling you?
You know what? This one was actually my own teammate. I never forget. So this is when I went to Marusi. So my first year, I'm fresh out of college. When you're fresh out of college, you're at your strongest. You've been lifting that college program, protein shakes, and your whole body is fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're fresh from college. So I've got to Greece now, and it's like the first day of practice, and I'm seeing all these Greek guys. There's like 1 or 2 Americans. So we're shooting around, like we're just warming up. Guys are just getting shots up before practice. So I'm looking around, I'm like, yo, I don't see no one here that can kind of, you know what I mean? I'm kind of scoping out the competition. So I'm just scoping out the competition. So then one of the assistant coaches pulled me to the side, and he's like, oh, hey, Robinson, I want to formally welcome you to Marusi. We're so glad to have you. We're excited about, your season here. I'm just giving you a heads up, there's this guy called Gagaloudis, Yannis Gagaloudis. And he's very skilled, he's very experienced. So I'm gonna be looking out for that. I know you can learn so much from him. So I'm trying to think to myself, who is this guy talking about? But I'm looking and I can't see no one. Like, I can't see no one that is, like, if you're thinking point guard, you're seeing someone that might be 6'1", 6'2", Like, I'm looking, I can't see no one. We start playing, yeah, and the man he's chatting about, yeah, was the guy had grey hair and was stick thin, lad. So I'm like, this is what you're chatting about. I'm about to finish this guy, bro. Are you crazy? I'm about to just body him, I'm saying. Fam, we started playing, yeah. Fam, every time he had the ball was either a bucket or an assist. I've never seen someone so crafty. Pick and roll, when he puts you in that pick and roll, that's it, you're finished. You're finished, man. It's either a dime, a foul, or a bucket. This guy was about 6'3", When I mean stick thin, like, he ain't touched the weight in his life.
Oh, Lord.
He doesn't stretch. He smokes 20 cigarettes a day, smokes at halftime, drinks coffee, latte all day. Doesn't stretch. He will refuse to run. If the team has got a run, punishment, he'll sit down on the side like this. Old head, fam. He played like Panathinaikos, Roma, Olympia. Fam, if you ever tap to Ogo, yeah, ask Ogo about this guy, fam. Yannis Gagaloudis, fam. You can even YouTube him, man. This guy, yeah, he used to torment me, man, in practice. And you couldn't, you tried to be physical, he'll spin off of you, he'll hook your arm, like, fam, I couldn't do anything with him. I could not do anything with the guy, blood. And it was like, and that was when I realized it's not about how fast you are or how erratic you are, you know what I'm saying? It's all about pace and angles and using your body and passing pockets. And fam, this guy taught me so much, man. Taught me so much, you know what I mean? And he actually ended up joining me in Cyprus. Okay. He came and he joined us like maybe like the last month. His first game, 30 and 15. His first game. Didn't warm up. He did not warm up.
What, straight from the outside, straight from smoking a cigarette?
Bam. Everyone's warming up here. He's sitting with his legs crossed. You know how them European guys?
Yeah.
How they sit at like a outdoor shisha spot or cafe. He's sitting there with his legs crossed, he's watching us warm up. Like this. Watching us. When it's time to play, man tied his laces and got on. 30 and 15, man. I swear down. When you finish, Google this guy. Yannis Gagaloudis, fam. Bad boy.
I got that down.
Trust me.
Oh, that's mad. What's the best advice? We're wrapping it up soon. What's the best advice you could give to a college player looking to play pro?
Well, I think you have to know yourself as a player. I think you have to know what you do well in terms of for your team, your current college team. Whether you're whatever position you may be, you have to find your I guess the package that you sell to a team. So if you're a power forward, Are you a great rebounder? Do you have a low post game? You know, are you a good defender? Are you a high energy guy? You got a high motor? You know, are you a team first guy? You know, will your coaches give you good recommendations? So many things. Like players just think that it's just, oh yeah, I'm nice. Yeah, I'm nice. A team should sign me. No. Teams want to see if you got good body language, how you're responding on the bench. Are you team first? Are you a winner? What do your coaches say about you? Like, there's so much stuff that goes into being a pro that people don't think about. But in terms of like prepping themselves, you know, I would say, you know, you got to take care of your body, eat right, stay in the weight room, stay in the gym, work on your strengths, but also work on your weaknesses, you know. Look at the European game, you know, go and watch EuroLeague. You know, if you're a power forward, go and watch a guy like Karl Heinz and see how he's been so successful, you know, see how he's been undersized and he literally made millions of playing hard. Like, I saw a lot of these kids don't understand. The guy's made millions off of playing hard, of being a great screener, a great rebounder, a guy that does all the intangible stuff, the dirty work. He's made millions of being that person. You know what I mean? So it's not always about I average 20. How come a teammate signed me? Okay, are you going to get this team over? There's thousands of guys that can average 20, you know? What do you bring that's different to a team? Why should a team sign you over someone else, you know? So there's so many things to look at, but I would just say, you know, players got to work on their craft, and obviously, you know, you have to have the stats, and, you know, it helps if your team wins because you go to the tournament or you go further, you get more exposure. But yeah, you know, you just got to keep working, man.
Okay, I like that. Last few, we go through our quick fire rounds. Don't need to elaborate too much, but just quick fire, putting you under pressure here. Country with the best food.
Greece.
Okay.
Greece.
Country with the best weather.
In terms of where I played, yeah, Greece. Yeah, most definitely. Cyprus.
Must see destination. So, like, if you was to say, hey, bro, like, here's one plane ticket, you have to go to this place, where would it be?
In terms of basketball, or in general?
Just in general, like tourism kind of thing.
I would say Hawaii. I've never been, but you know what I mean.
Where you?
Oh, if where I've been, then I'll say Dominica. Obviously I'm biased, but yeah, Dominica.
Okay. What we got? Best way to deal with homesickness.
Ooh. Well, it's a bit easier now because, you know, you got, you know, a video call and stuff like that. I would just say, just know that it's temporary. You know, like, look at it as you're doing a bid, or, you know what I'm saying, like okay, cool. You know, this is a 9 month, you know, this is a 9 month slot. You know, this is a 9 month slot where, you know, you got to look at it like a business trip. That's the way you got to see it. I'm away for 9 months on business. I'm there to study. I'm there to work on my craft. Nothing else. You know, that's the way you got to look at it. And it's not a forever thing. You know, it's a temporary thing. So.
Okay. And the best basketball.
I have to say Greece, man. In terms of where I played, you know, just again, you know, the IQ, the way they prep for games, how hard they scout. You know, they're very tactical. You know, if you ask anyone that's played in Greece, it's a lot like chess. It's not even basketball you're playing. A lot of mind games and a lot of, you know, tactical things that they don't do in other leagues. You know, that will kind of, if you're not prepared for it, will throw you off. You know, just very smart, savvy players over there. You know.
Okay. Boom. Here's the last one of this quick fire, and it might be controversial. I might get you in trouble. Where are the best fans?
Okay, this is a tough one because Cyprus had some crazy fans, but you might lose your life. It's that bad. Like they're that passionate. You know, it's a bit like hooligans in a sense. You know, Greece was more friendly. You know, as a crowd. You know, they're more embracing. You know, but they're passionate. You know, they're gonna cheer for you. You know, they're gonna show you love around the town. I think they just have a deep culture and a deep love for basketball in that country. I'm trying to think where else. Hungary has some good fans as well. But yeah, I'll say overall, I'll say Greece.
Greece. Okay, so like when anyone from the BBL or the BBL fans are watching this, like no problems, no issues.
Yeah, I don't care about that, man. So.
Hold on, you're the reigning 2-time MVP of the league. No problem.
Hey, man, truth is truth. You don't like it, don't like it. You know, the truth is a constant. You can't get mad at the truth. Truth is the truth, you know. So.
Okay, hey, I'm making sure I clip that bit just to put it out there. Just the truth is the truth.
Hey, you quote me on that, man.
Okay, so I always try and ask this question every episode because I think not only is this information, it's mentorship, it's a whole lot of things in one. And you know, for someone like yourself that's had such a fulfilled career and had some amazing experiences, I'm sure that you would have had quite a few instances where there's been distractions, whether it be parties, whether it be girls, whether it be drugs. Like, how did you manage to keep yourself on the straight and narrow? You know, I'm sure you must have partied a bit or whatever, but how did you keep yourself focused and, you know, not gone off the deep end?
You know, I think it's a tough one because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you're a young man, you know, you're 18, 19 going into an environment where, you know, you're not, I guess you are supervised, but you have freedom to do what you want. You know, you can leave campus, you can stay out all night if you want, just as long as you're up, ready for class or ready for practice. So I think for me, going to a prep school, I was kind of given that structure, you know, okay, cool. I've come back, I've got my homework to do, I've got an essay to do, bang it out. All right, I've got practice, 6 a.m., you know, let me go. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of had that structure. And also, I think for me, what was different compared to the American kids, like, I knew that I'm not from here, you know what I mean? So me and them is not in, like, we're not in the same boat.
Yeah.
You know, I can't go out and get arrested for jaywalking or fighting, or, you know, like, I can't afford to go to a club and get into an altercation, and, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, there's no mommy and daddy coming to bail me out, or, you know, I have no one to run to. So I was kind of used to tread lightly in America, and as we know, the police there don't mess about, you know. So of course you're gonna have fun, you know, you're gonna go parties, you're gonna drink, you know. I mean, I'm not someone that's ever done drugs, you know. Obviously on a college campus it's present, you know, like, people are doing what they're doing, but it's all in moderation, man. You know, like, you kind of have to know, you know, you kind of have to have that maturity and just know your limits, you know what I mean? Know your limits, man. I mean, again, you have to know why you're there. I'm here on scholarship. I can't afford to mess this up because I might get kicked out of school. Immigration would then come for me. You know, I'm here to have a good career, use this as a stepping stone to go to, you know, a higher level, become a pro. I want to graduate, you know, make my family proud. Like, in the back of my mind, I always knew the purpose of why I was there, you know. I knew I wanted to be the first person in my family to graduate. I knew I wanted to go pro. I knew I knew I wanted to make Jimmy proud, you know, like all these things were always in the back of my mind and always kind of kept me on the straight and narrow. And again, that doesn't mean I didn't, you know, have fun with my teammates and go here and go there. Of course, you know, you're a human being, but you just got to know how to conduct yourself, you know, when you're in certain environments. You know, you're not going out trying to be a tough guy or starting trouble, you know. You might have a drink or two, you feel tipsy, all right, I'm done. You know, you don't want to get wasted and getting, you know what I mean? Like, you just always have to know your limits and all in moderation. There's a time and place for everything, you know. When you're in season, that shouldn't even be happening anyway. You know, you should be locked in season, no drinking, none of that. You know, no going out. Everything is just tunnel vision. You know, maybe after the season, you know, you can have more fun, but you know, for the most part, you're there for a purpose. You're there to use this as a stepping stone to get to the next level. You're there to graduate. You're there to keep your GPA to a certain level. You know, you're there to keep your rep intact. You know, because once you get labeled that kind of person on a college campus, that's it, you know. That's it, you know. Not only amongst your coaches, amongst teachers, amongst students on campus, you know. It's hard to kind of shift that reputation of a guy just wilding out doing crazy stuff on campus. So, you know, you just got to know how to conduct yourself, man. Like I always say, don't get caught up in the sauce, man. Just don't get, you know, don't let all the stuff gas you up, and just be yourself. Be humble. Don't try to impress the American guys or you know, make them, you know, peer pressure you into doing something. Just put your head down and do what you got to do, man.
I like that. And understanding that there can be a balance, or there's a time, you know what I mean? Like, hey, there's a difference between off-season, pre-season, post-season, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different things. And yeah, I think, you know, through my talks and from stuff that I've seen, through my own experiences and stuff and coaching, that it does seem like the internationals are a bit more mindful of the opportunity that they have. You know, mom sacrificed, dad sacrificed, you know, we didn't have no money, or I was lucky to get this one scholarship, so I can't blow it.
Them plane tickets ain't cheap, you know.
No, especially not now, my friend. Especially now. You know, so understanding that is hey, look, you know, it's kind of like a one shot and done. So I definitely get it. Jay, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Just before I let you go, I know you've been working on some stuff now. You've got some stuff in the pipeline. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so you know, I've started my own foundation called the JJ Robb Foundation. You know, JJ Robb LDN CIC, community interest company. You know, which is basically just based around basketball mentorship. You know, going into schools, working with youths in the South London area, kids that are vulnerable. Just using basketball, you know, as that tool, as a vessel to kind of galvanize them. I also do a lot of like assembly talks, linking up with local organizations, mentoring young people. I got a camp coming up on the 27th, 28th with Coach G, and it should be a good one. You know, it will be in the Wallington area, which is, you know, just like past Croydon, Sutton area. So, you know, we're doing like a little Christmas camp, lots of prizes and giveaways, and just, you know, a whole 2 days of just lots of skill work, lots of games, fun competitions, and again, you know, just interacting with the young people and just giving all of my info and all of my gems, and hopefully I can be an asset to them, you know. So yeah, man, things are looking up.
Man, it's great to see someone of your stature giving back to the community and, you know, mentoring, especially like in a time like now. I think young people need us more now than ever, kind of thing. Just from all the different influences they have around, you know, from being able to access anything on, you know, on their phones in their hands to, you know, absent parenting. Not that I want to get, but, you know, everyone's busy, everyone's got a million things to do, and not necessarily there to kind of help nurture the next generation. So I think what you're doing is incredible, and definitely looking forward to see more of that stuff, man. And as I said before, it's been great having you on board today. A lot of laughs, great chats, and definitely looking forward to seeing your next moves.
Definitely. I appreciate you having me, man. Like you said, always good vibes, laughs. Yeah, man, you too as well, man. Keep doing your thing. You know what I mean? You're doing big things over there, Obviously, you're not home, you're in a foreign land and you're finding your way, you're navigating, you're building your legacy. So, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Yo, people, this is Justin Robinson. We're here with the EuroStepping. Just want to say I had a great time. Shout out to all the young people watching. Hopefully, you've taken some gems away from this. And, my main message is just be yourself, Don't let anyone come and try to change you or sway you or kind of knock you off your square, Just keep being yourself. All you can be is yourself, So that's what I would say. Just keep doing you and stay on your path.
Appreciate you watching the EuroStepping.
I want to thank everybody for watching EuroStepping.
Watching the EuroStepping.
The EuroStepping.
The EuroStepping.
You've been watching the EuroStepping.
The EuroStepping.
EuroStepping.
You've been watching the EuroStepping, a great podcast show hosted by Coach D.